Okay, Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilor Hurst, absent. Councilor Shea.
Present.
Councilor Twiggs.
Present.
Councilor Allen.
Present.
Councilor Rook.
Present.
Councilor Bud Williams. Here. Councilor Orlando Ramos, absent. Councilor Marcus Williams.
Present.
Councilor Adam Gomez.
Present.
Councilor Ash, absent. Councilor Edwards, absent. Councilor Walsh.
Present.
Councilor Fenton.
Present. Will the council and our guests please rise for a moment of silence? Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk please recognize the counselor in seat number 1?
Councilor Hurst.
Okay, counselors, just to inform everybody, Counselors Ash and Edwards are out this evening. They will not be here. They're feeling under the weather. I am here, but I am also feeling under the weather. So let's start with the first item, item number 1, Mr. Clerk.
Item number 1, an application for a special permit for an accessory wall sign located on the first floor at the property known as 3451 Main Street.
Okay. This is a hearing pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40A. All those wishing to speak in favor of the petition will be offered an opportunity to speak for not more than 20 minutes. If there are any opponents, we will offer them that same amount of time. There's a 10-minute rebuttal portion for both opponents and proponents subsequent to that. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this petition, 3455 Main Street? Please come forward, ma'am. Please state your name and address and make your case.
Hi, my name is Shannon Page. I live at 64 Spear Farm Road in Feeding Hills, and I am the Clinical Operations Manager for New England Dermatology and Laser Center. I'm here on behalf of the doctors who own our practice, and we are looking to put a sign with our logo on the front and side of the building. We have a lot of patients that are now coming in from the Berkshires and different areas that are not familiar with the area, so it will help as far as directing them to our building, as far as giving it a nice aesthetic look to a basically plain brick building.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Any questions from the council for the applicant? Okay. Seeing none, that closes this portion of the hearing in the hearing. Any further discussion?
No.
Councilor Gomez?
They already petitioned to the neighborhood board, and down in the area, I know it's Bay State kind of everything, and the neighborhood board approved that they don't see why not, that they can't move forward with getting that sign out there, because that actual building is just like a great square, and probably people would get confused. So I just want to let you know I did receive the email from them, and Phil also received the email from the neighborhood board.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, if you please call the roll.
On granting the special permit for 3451 Main Street, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Councilor Shea.
Yes.
Councilor Twiggs.
Yes.
Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Councilor Rook. Councilor Bud Williams. Councilor Orlando Ramos, absent. Councilor Williams.
Yes.
Councilor Adam Gomez.
Yes.
Councilor Ash, absent. Councilor Edwards, absent. Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Councilor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Councilor Hurst on the reasons.
The specific site is an appropriate location for such a use, structure, or condition. The use as developed will not adversely affect the neighborhood. Adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided for the proper operation of the proposed use to incorporate the planning staff analysis into the decision at the basis of the findings.
All those in favor of the condition say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Special permit is approved. Congratulations. Okay, item number 2, Mr. Clerk.
A hearing on the special permit for motor vehicle sales as an accessory use at the property known as 638 Worthington Street.
Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor? Please come forward, sir and ma'am. Please state your name and address for the record. Make your case.
Good evening. Denira Fernandez.
Excuse me one moment, ma'am. Will the clerk please recognize the counselor in seat number 7?
Councilor Ramos.
Excuse me. You can continue.
My name is Denira Fernandez. I'm going to be an interpreter for Jorge Candido. He doesn't speak a lot of English. He wants to apply for a special permit for use of car sales at his location. He just bought this business early November of 2015. So he's been working on fixing the building up, and he wants to access to be able to sell used cars as well.
Okay. Any questions from the council? Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Councilor Ramos, do you have a question?
Have you been to the neighborhood council yet?
No, this is the first time me being here.
Yes.
What council is it?
It's Ward 1. Yeah, from what I understand, he hasn't visited Aqua yet. Aqua is the neighborhood council that covers this area. Not necessarily saying that we're not interested in giving him this, but we want him to go back and check in with the neighborhood board, because what it is before this, in each prospective neighborhood, there's a board of people that are elected from the neighborhood, and we usually, would like an acceptance from them first.
Okay.
So it's before you leave, I'll give you my contact information, and then probably we can. I move to put it still back in committee. I think it's just so we can, get Carol and the folks on board on what's going on in that area, because I know that the last time we had brought up the gentleman from up on the corner, very close from his area. I wouldn't want to, I made him go back to the committee. I think it's important that we do that.
Okay. Councilor Ramos?
Mr. President, I'll second that motion at the appropriate time, but I just want to make sure that there's a protocol in place where these folks are notified that they have to visit the neighborhood council at some point.
There we go.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Well, it seems like over the last few meetings, we've had people here asking for special permits that have not visited neighborhood councils. And it's really a waste of time for them, knowing that, for us, knowing that we take value in the input from the neighborhood council, but are they being notified through this licensing process?
When people come in for special permits, I notify them of I try to anyway, not always, once in a while I miss it, but I do try and notify them that they should see the the neighborhood council. I stress it's technically not a zoning requirement for them to do that. Ultimately, it's up to your purview of whether you grant it or not, but I do, when I send emails out or when I talk to people at the counter, I inform them what neighborhood they're in, but it's really their responsibility to then take that next step and contact the neighborhood council. What I do is send out notice to the neighborhood council, but they don't necessarily respond if nobody contacts them. So it really is up to the petitioner to contact the neighborhood council. I don't follow up that they do that.
Okay. No, that's fine. I just want to make sure that they're being informed.
I make a strong effort to let people know that although it's not a requirement, odds are you're going to get here and they're going to do what you guys usually do, and that's what I tell them.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so there's a motion to refer this matter to committee made by Councilor Gomez, seconded by Councilor Ramos. Is there any discussion on the motion? Councilor Shea?
I was going to ask if Phil Dronick could come back in. On this bill, did you have any recommendations on this that you were concerned about? I didn't see
my concerns was the condition of the property. I guess that was my largest concern when I went and visited the site. The building is in kind of tough shape. It could use a paint job, and I was also concerned over the number of vehicles that are currently being stored on the property. A number of them look like they are damaged junk vehicles, which is not something that's allowed. And also, I wasn't aware that part of the property, as you can see by the map that I submitted, it kind of does an L shape.
Yep.
That the piece where a number of the vehicles are is not owned by is owned by a separate entity. There used to be in the plan that they submitted with the package, you can see there used to be a house there. That must have been demolished over the last few years, and now,
No.
I think they, intentional or not, they are now parking vehicles on that privately owned property, which is not part of this development.
I got a
So
picture in
I
this
just had concerns to see if they could make an attempt to
The
try
last
and
one.
clean up the property.
Well, I would recommend if this goes to committee that the concerns of the planning department be covered in that committee meeting, and so when it comes forward, we're not going over it again a third time. That would be my only recommendation.
Bill, were we supposed to have pictures for this one?
Well, I added pictures in my...
We don't have anything. We didn't have pictures for either of the first two.
No, we don't have my analysis. Do you have my
We
analysis?
didn't get your
No.
analysis, right?
Okay.
I gotta talk.
Councilor Gomez, would you entertain
Sign ordinance.
rephrasing your motion to be a motion to lay the matter on the table until the subcommittee can either meet or Aqua can meet on this?
No, I'll rephrase the motion and make sure that we lay it on the table until we get to the bottom of it.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, motion made to lay the matter on the table by Councilor Gomez, seconded by Councilor Ramos. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. So, sir, ma'am, you should meet with the neighborhood council and come back when you have a recommendation from them. If the special permit review committee wishes to meet, they can in the meantime.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Yes, we already discussed it earlier before we came in, because we didn't get this till today.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
This notice, no, till today. He just handed it over to us when we walked in.
Thank you. Okay, item number 3, Mr. Clerk.
This is an application for a zone change for a property located at 1130 Bay Street from business, to change the zone from business B to industrial A.
Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the petition? Mr. Colacino?
Hi, good evening. Before I start, I just want to just say one thing about this group. Nobody realizes how hard all of you have worked with regard to that casino. And I just want to congratulate all of you. You had some issues, and the way you came together and just solved them was terrific and professional. And not everybody tells you that, but I just want to let you know as a group that's what I feel. So I just wanted to compliment all of you on that. All right. Now as to the zone change. My name is Frank Colacino, 1259 East Columbus Avenue, Springfield, Mass. Property is located at 1130 Bay Street. Currently, it's dual zoned. A half is zoned industrial, the other half is zoned business B. The property was purchased from the city of Springfield in a tax foreclosure. We've owned it approximately 2 years or so. And when we purchased the property, it was a mess. There was holes in the ceiling, in the roof. The property was they had garbage all over the place. We came in, cleaned it up, put a brand new fence around the entire property. It looks a lot cleaner, painted the building, repaired the roof, repaired the building. We've spent in excess of $200,000 in doing that. And it now looks nice. It's back on the tax rolls. The tenant that's there, Mascon, is a site work contractor. Employs about 6 or 7 people, and that goes up depending on the time of year. So not only is the city getting property taxes, but they're getting excise taxes on the vehicles that are there, and they employ people that live in the city of Springfield. So it's working pretty well. We want to get this zone change to make it one consistent zone. We have been to the planning board, and the planning board has approved of the zone change unanimously. We've been to the neighborhood group, and they had no issues with it. We did have some recommendations as to putting in a silt fence because as part of the use of the property, they store not only the equipment, excavators and bulldozers and backhoes and equipment like that, but they also store gravel and loam and sand to use in their work. Now, these piles are stored on site and they go up and down depending on the work. You'll see that when planning went out there and took pictures, we had some piles that were high. They're currently down very low. So, and we anticipate that in the next month, those piles will go down, or 2 months, I should say. Those piles will go down very low. And then as they get new jobs and they have excess material, they'll store that material on site for a while. So that'll go up and down. Again, this is, it's allowable in the use, and we're just here to make it all consistent and not have any issues.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Councilor Rook?
Mr. President, thank you. I just want to say how thrilled I am to see that somebody is investing in that property, because over the years it's been an eyesore, and I think many of us on the council can remember when it was a junkyard facility and it was run down and worn down. This particular use complements the landscape designer across the street, a landscape supplier down further past Dunkin' Donuts, and I think they all complement and support one another. I've spoken to some of the employees and some of the managers at each location, and all of them are in favor of this development, and I think it's a compliment to the developer as well, once again. So I think it's a great use of the property and a terrific way to clean it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Twiggs?
Mr. President, I was going to wait until to see if we had any opposition before I spoke, but I too rise, as Councilor Rook had said. This property is located in my district, so obviously I have a real concern about this. And I want to commend the developers for getting in there and cleaning that property up, as Councilor Rook has already indicated. I mean, it was an eyesore, and I'm happy that they've gotten in there and done the necessary work. But in particular, the building itself, you could see that $200,000 was probably invested in that property. I'm especially interested, the planning board had recommended that a fence go up along the edge of the property to keep from eroding loam and gravel and what have you. And lo and behold, long before it gets to us, they've already gone out and did that work. Now, I don't need to tell you who Mr. Casino is. I mean, he's Colacino. Excuse me, Bud. Call your horse the wrong name. But he does a lot of business in this city. But more importantly, he creates jobs. So he's creating jobs in my district, and I am very much in favor of it. So, Mr. President, I would like to see us do a unanimous support for this and show this gentleman that we appreciate the work that he's doing in this great city of ours.
Thank you. Okay. Councilor Ramos?
Frank, was this the proposed fence, was that something that you agreed to?
I'm sorry?
The fence that you were...
The silt fence, yes.
And you agreed?
Yeah.
To that?
Yes, it's already done.
Okay. Oh, it's already done?
It's already complete.
Okay.
It's already there. Not only that, but what we've done is we've put it on a maintenance schedule, because you know sometimes those silt fences break. So on a quarterly basis, we have a schedule that we check to make sure that it stands up and it doesn't cause an issue.
How high is the fence?
Well, the fence itself is about 8 feet high, but the silt fence is about 3.5 feet high. So all they were worried about is runoff from there's loom that's placed there. They were worried about runoff going onto the front property. And so the silt fence prevents that from happening.
What about the wind, things blowing all over the place? I mean,
We have dust control measures in place.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that was my concern. You know, I've had some bad experiences with industrial property being close to residential. And for me, I came here with a concern about the aesthetics and, you know, whether or not some of that stuff is going to be
Totally
blowing around.
understand. And we don't want dust storms all over the place either. So when that happens, we either make sure that we water it on a continual basis so there's no dust, or we put something over it to make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Say again, anyone wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, is there anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Any more questions from the council for the applicant before we close the hearing? Okay. Seeing none, that closes this portion of the hearing and the hearing. Any more discussion? Okay, Mr. Clerk, roll call, please. On the zone change.
On granting the zone change, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Councilor Shea.
Yes.
Councilor Twigs. Yes. Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Councilor Rook. Yes. Councilor Bud Williams. Yes. Councilor Ramos.
Yes.
Councilor Marcus Williams.
Yes.
Councilor Gomez.
Yes.
Councilor Ash, absent. Councilor Edwards, absent. Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes. More than sufficient. Zone change is approved. Last item, Mr. Clerk.
The last item is a petition for a license to keep, store, use, and sell petroleum and petroleum products not to exceed 30,000 gallons at the location known as 1271 Page Boulevard.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this application? Good evening, sir.
Yes. Hi, my name is Mike Bergdahl. I'm the trustee of 1271 Page Boulevard Realty Trust. What we're doing there is we're replacing the old gasoline tanks with new tanks, taking out the metal tanks and putting out the new ones in. So that's all we're doing, so they can reopen for business. So it's up to the code and all that for DEP.
What's the property used for, sir?
It's a gas station now.
Any questions from the council? Mr. Clerk, do we need to do a roll call here? We do? Okay. Roll call then, please, Mr. Clerk.
On granting the petroleum storage license, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Councilor Shea.
Yes.
Councilor Twigs. Yes. Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Councilor Rook. Yes. Councilor Bud Williams.
Yes.
Councilor Ramos. Yes. Councilor Marcus Williams.
Yes.
Councilor Gomez.
Yes.
Councilor Ash, absent. Councilor Edwards, absent. Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes. More than sufficient. Permit is approved. Any more business, Mr. Clerk?
There is no more business before this body.
Okay, so this body will stand adjourned until a week from this evening, Monday, April 4th, 7 p.m. See y'all then.